Hi, it's Charlene from Maplewood Public Library, and today I will be sharing the introduction from Stories from Suffragette City. It's a short story collection, and the introduction is written by author Kristen Hanna. Introduction. I still remember the first time I voted for the President of the United States. It's such a crucial rite of passage, a pivotal pause on the road to adulthood. I remember reading newspaper articles in detail, listening to speeches, asking opinions of everyone I respected. I wanted desperately to be informed. I was in college at the time at a large public university, and the upcoming election was big news. We painted posters and canvassed neighborhoods and put politics first in the school newspaper. Groups gathered after class to galvanize voters and encourage others to get involved. And then there was the actual day, walking into the room, presenting my voter registration card, and, at last, casting my vote. But did I think about how I came to be casting my vote? At that age, I doubt it, although I'm sure my mother tried to tell me. Now, so many years later, I know how important a moment that was, both for me personally and in the context of women's history in America. This year, 2020, marks the 100th anniversary of the passage of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which states that the right of citizens in the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Like all movements of its kind, the push toward gender equality has been and remains a multi-front challenge, but there is little doubt that the right to vote and to have a voice for success. There can be no equality in a democracy in which the government listens to only some of its citizens. In the past 100 years, there has been so much change in lifestyle, in technology, in transportation, that the old days can seem distant and a little unreal. It's all too easy to forget the battles fought along the way and take for granted the hard-won victories. That's why it's especially important to remember and to celebrate the women who fought bravely and paid dearly for their cause, and to teach our sons and daughters about the past. Change in any political system comes at a cost, and women's suffrage is no exception. Words weren't enough to change the status quo and upset the long accepted tenets of the system. Many women chose the dangerous practice of civil disobedience. They put their lives and their freedom on the line for their beliefs. Women were arrested and thrown in jail. They were force-fed when they went on hunger strikes. In many parts of the country, the passage of the 19th Amendment was only the beginning. It would take years before all women in America, especially women of color, had both the legal right to vote and the actual ability to cast ballots in every state. The ability to vote and access to the polls are fights we still face, but the passage of the amendment allowed women to have a voice in the democratic process for the first time and caused a seismic shift in the political landscape. The difficulties women faced in gaining the vote, like much of women's history, are often overlooked or forgotten or marginalized. Many younger women do not know the story of the movement. It behooves us all to make a concerted effort to commemorate the triumphs of women and to tell their stories to the next generation. Victories cannot be taken for granted. There are still battles to be fought for the advancement of women's rights, and in remembering the women who came before and how far we've come, we find the strength to continue. Legislation is an important first step, the opening of the gate, so to speak. But in times like these, when the country is deeply divided, more is required of people. It is not enough to have the vote. We must exercise that right with conviction and keep in mind the great power that lies within the right to vote. This collection, written by some of the most celebrated authors writing today, commemorates and celebrates the battles women faced in fighting for the 19th. The stories focus on women of different ages, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, as well as on the contributions made by men who supported their cause. These talented authors bring the powerful, important, emotional tales of the suffrage movement alive. In reading these stories as a collection, I was struck by the importance of the message. We are often reminded that those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, and I believe deeply in the truth of that sentiment. Few things are as vital as remembering and passing on history to future generations. History is not a set of dry facts in a dusty old book. We keep the past alive by remembering the people who lived it, a more equal world, and who paid for those convictions. This short story collection celebrates the women who fought for our voices to be heard. By voting, we join the ghost of the women who came before us in the fight to make the world a better place for our children and grandchildren. And that's the introduction to Stories from Suffragette City.